Hey there, Silver Tongue Devil here, and in this live stream, we're going to be looking at Paradise Lost and the trials and tribulations there within. Those of you who have been around in the IDU scene as far as the tournament side of things is concerned should be right at home here, very much like Battlestar Galactica. This has all been done before. Same arrows, same setup, same bloody drapes. This has all happened previously in the Abyss trials. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I like a good tournament. But we have lots of things that we can use from the last tournament to help us in this tournament. So, quick splurge on the rules. They've actually sorted it out now as well. Everyone does have the same life. I've checked it on a new profile to make sure that they got it right the last time as well, because they did for the pit runner side of things. 3 starting arrows, they're all pretty much garbage, but we'll take Divine Sight anyway. Best score will be displayed, yeah. Clock starts when you enter, yeah. All participants, yeah. There is no, yeah. So basically, no boss, no pits, no orphans. Now, first things first to establish. As far as Paradise Lost is concerned, Paradise Lost levels are very vertical and very compact and short. That means that the top boy on this tournament will be the person that can grab the special arrow that kills all the things and the stuff quickly, regardless of whether they headshot or not, and continue that through cycle after cycle after cycle. You should be able to keep your executioner bonus going from phase 1 of Paradise Lost level into phase 2, providing you don't stop at the shop. That could be very important for our scoring. But anyway, right, let me turn you lot back on. Catch up with chat, and then we'll go and do some tournamenting, shall we? Go fish. Hello, Melissa. How we doing? Cool. A European with that. I did have a PlayStation up. I sold it though. They during COVID, during lockdown, they were offering me as much in cash as I paid for it, even though I'd had it 8 months. I couldn't help myself, and I was barely playing it anyway. I was stuck in VR world forever. No, Incursion's rubbish. Okay. So choose one. Rubbish. Ish. Here's why. Divine Sight, you get sod all ammunition for it, and you're only firing 1. The killing potential of Divine Sight is crap, basically. ×1. ×3 and ×5, now you're talking. ×1, rubbish. Incursions. Incursions would be good, but they don't explode quickly enough, and what else happens when explosions occur in this game with the likes of incursions and cataclysms? It puts the game into slow time. Now, don't we want slow time? Isn't slow time good? No. In these tournaments, when you are in slow time, the timer is still ticking along at its normal rate. So we do not want to be using the quiver select button, because it's not the slow time button, believe it or not. We do not want to be using the quiver select button for anything other than changing between arrows. Keep your bloody finger off the slow time button is my first and probably biggest top tip. Hail of Arrows has potential. If you can get to the high cycles, it can just allow you to put multiple headshots on knights, but we can't count on there being knights, and the knights that we do see are not going to have that bigger health pools, maybe towards the end. So basically, all of these are rubbish. Hail of Arrows isn't too bad with the crossbow. In my experience, I can fire fast with the crossbow. Hail of Arrows just allows me to fire faster without having to try quite so hard. The one reason why I like to take Divine Sight is I find that some, I don't know, might be confirmation bias, possibly. The arrow that you take with you into there usually affects what arrows you actually get when you are in the level. Or, I don't know, it feels that way. If you take Divine Sight, you'll find Divine Sights and the different Divine Sights. Well, it's not that you can't use it, it's that you shouldn't. I'll show you why. So, this first run, we'll just take it nice and slow. And we'll just talk about what I'm doing whilst I'm killing. So, first example. Oh, what a great place to do an example. So, quivers is what we want. You just need the arrows to go with it. Right, let's have a look. So, we can see normal time, 9, 40, 39, 38, 37, 36. There you go. It's super bright. I've managed to get the timer going at 1 second down, so it works. How good is that? Now, if we put slow time on, note how there is no change in the timer ticking away. So the slow time does not affect the tournament timer. Now, why is that important? Well, here's this Banshee to tell us why. Why is that important? Wrong answer. The reason why that's important is because whilst we're in slow time and slowing down, the tournament isn't. And so we are basically wasting time. So you don't want to use the slow time button. That's the reason why we don't want to be using things like incursions and cataclysms, because as you may know, when you use cataclysms and incursions, I'm using it now though, but just so I don't get my ass kicked whilst I'm warming up, I get quite a lot of quivers as well, as it happens. Ooh, Hand of God, that's fucking useless. So, as far as incursions and cataclysms are concerned, they're not going to help us either, because they force the game into slow time when they're exploding everywhere, which is not good for us, because that then leads me back to the last bit that I just spent ages talking about as to why we don't want to use slow time. So, next on the agenda, how do you score? Because, you know, it's quite an important subject. First and foremost, that scores us just the gold, just the 47, and maybe a little bit on the old cycle points. This is a very good game, Buck. Very good. Headshots. Every headshot. Exactly. Hey, if you're not using it, this is a good time to put the fact that you're not using slow time in any other mode that isn't timed. You should be using slow time, but in anything that is, do not. So, headshots, 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 headshots. Headshots are what score. So, that was not a headshot, that was a body shot. So we only scored the gold number that comes out. That was also not a headshot. That was not a headshot. That was. We get the gold and we get a headshot score within our marksman category for hitting headshots. Now, the headshot that we hit does not need to result in a kill. It just needs to be a headshot. So that scores. That scores again. And you also score an additional amount of gold from each headset shot as well. Every penny of gold that you score in this game goes towards your score. So we understand, hopefully, headshots score you points, body shots technically score you nothing, because you're going to get the gold whether you kill something with a body shot or a headshot. But each individual headshot scores. That is known now, okay? So, on top of that as well, there is the Executioner bonus. Killing that one, I'll put it in slow time to demonstrate, killing that Cupid now that we haven't killed anything for a little while, and I'll keep using slow time, starts a 10-second timer. That 10-second timer, for every enemy that we kill after that initial one, adds, so that would add plus 1 second, that would add plus 1 second, that would add plus 1 second, and you get the idea. So, from your first kill that starts your Executioner bonus, like for instance our Executioner bonus is probably over by now, and that last kill probably started it again. So, let's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So let's pretend that our executioner bonus has ended, and that would start it again. Each kill after that one, what's in timer, adds +1 second, up to a maximum of 20 kills, which is when the scoring caps out. Every kill adds +1 second. You get, now I don't know the exact numbers as far as the executioner bonus is concerned, but what I can tell you is that it's slowly ascending bonus points regardless of the type of kill. Regardless of it being a headshot kill or a body shot kill, you will score extra points from the executioner bonus. Now, the executioner bonus, it racks up to a maximum of 20 kills. At that point, every kill that you are getting within the executioner timer is scoring you the maximum amount of points. And I think we were told that it was the maximum per kill at the 20 plus kills on the executioner, somewhere in the sort of like 320, I think, 320 to 350 points region, which is the same for a short range headshot. That brings me on to my next point. So we want to be killing lots of things fast. We want to be trying to get headshots where we can. The other thing to note as well, the other thing that affects headshots and the scores, that's worth about 300. That's worth about 300. That's worth about 400. Probably about 400. Ooh. Yep. Well, that's not worth anything. I've got to hit them for them to be worth stuff. Those two are both worth about 300. That one's worth probably about 500. So what's the thing that's changed here? Hello, Rico. What's the thing that's changing here? The distance. The further away my opponent is, not only with the bow... Hello, Bomb. A bomb, rather. It calls you a bomb. My stupid speech, chat. So, at this short range, your scoring is about 3 to 320 points per headshot. The further the enemy gets, the more points you get. Now, how useful is that in combination with speed? Not as useful as you might think. But why is it relevant? Because if you get the right kind of special arrows that are doing headshots for you or assisting with your headshots over silly ranges, it can really up your score. If I was capable, that headshot on that... She'll probably move before I get her. Headshot on... Oh, come on now. There we go. Headshot on that monk would probably be worth about 700-800 points. Oh, there you go. Got one. The gold doesn't go up. The gold is a... Well, not a fixed amount, but gold is a dependent on the enemy, a varied amount. I can tell you that each headshot is worth X amount of gold as well. Anywhere between 14 and 17 for a headshot, and you can get that multiple times as well. So, scoring is done with a combination of headshots. At further distance, they score more. Executioner bonus, staying within the timer that you are creating as you are killing quickly, gets you more points. You can get to the point quite quickly in this game, if you are flying through it, where if you're hitting headshots and killing enemies, they can be worth about 700 points a pop just for doing that. And that's a lot of points if you can keep that cycle going, and you can keep it going indefinitely. Now, one of the bonuses of Paradise Lost, we're only on 2 life here, one of the bonuses, kind of Paradise Lost, is that unlike the Abyss Trials, the two areas that make up the level are very close to each other. So if we'd flown through that and used all those special arrows, got all those kills all really quickly, we can keep our executioner bonus going from one section into the next. No style points, no. I wish there was style points, but, you know, you can't go upside down in this game, not like Hellsweeper. So... you can keep your executioner bonus going from one island to another. So killing fast and prioritizing your targets is a very good idea. Now, how do we then go about, because that's the next thing. When we're getting these special arrows, it doesn't really matter too much. But in that initial start, what do we prioritize? Because there's a lot of bloody cupids about. Now, in the first few cycles, if you keep moving fast, they shouldn't be able to hit you. The other thing as well with cupids, I spend loads of time aiming up at cupids and firing shots and missing them, and the likelihood is the shot is only going to ever be a body shot, so it's only going to score as gold. So my advice would be, I'll keep this up a minute and I can kind of break it down again as well, just to reinforce the lesson. So as far as the cupids are concerned, my strategy at the moment is kill normal enemies, not cupids, until you get a good special arrow. And then you would use that good special arrow, preferably Divine Sight 3, Divine Sight 5, Cupid's Wrath times 1, but mainly times 3. Times 1's okay. Now, why are Cupid's Wrath okay? Well, A, they home, but unfortunately they explode. But one of I'll do run after run after run, mate. Don't worry. And hello, Dame. Oh, hello, mate. How you doing? Do you know what that just called you, Lee? That just called you Dame Jelly. My stupid voice chat. Hello, mate. How we doing? So, as far as the cupids are concerned, I would say ignore them until you have an arrow that allows you to just down them in droves. And the reason being is because they're not worth that many points. They are good for our executioner bonus, but they're not worth that many points alone. You need to be killing lots of them, and you need to be killing them quickly. Also, special note to Mike Fish here as well, just in case he snuck in for these tips. But, you know, just because he needs to up his score, obviously. This is my first attempt. He's been at this all day. Oh, bless him. His arm's probably falling off. So, but yeah, just for you, Fish, take your right-hand controller, pop it on the floor, and then do your run. Top tip. So, as far as the Cupid's concerned, ignore them until you get the arrow that deals with them as you go. So Cupid's Wrath, Divine Sight, Curse to an extent. The problem with Curse in Paradise Lost Trials is that it takes you time to pop it down, and a lot of the time it'll latch onto the targets that you don't want to. If you are killing those targets quickly, then the curse might spread. But the whole problem with Curse is after you get through the first cycle, and if you're going to be going for a decent score, you want to be getting through the first cycle, Curse gets to the point in Paradise Lost where the only things that it will kill, and it's kind of in cycle 1 as well, the only things that it will kill and move along without stopping is cupids. And a lot of the time, if it locks onto a knight or it locks onto a banshee or something along those lines, they've got too much life, and so the curse isn't that good. That's not to say that curse can't be useful, but it's not one that I would call a mainstay arrow. The only other one that's up for debate then is Tempests. Now, Tempests are good. If you are just playing the game at the moment, you should be using Tempests in Paradise Lost a lot because they take a lot of the work out of killing cupids for you. Now, again, going back to, does Tempests kill cupids quickly? Well, yeah, kinda, because you can really rattle Tempests off and not have to really aim. The problem with Tempests is it only is good against some of the enemies. As we may or may not know, Tempests are absolutely garbage against Banshees. There is a way to kill Banshees with Tempests, but you basically have to aim down and to the right of them, because a lot of the time when you fire a Tempest at a Banshee, it hits their staff that is in front of them first, and that's why it doesn't do any damage. Not because they have any magical properties or are resistant to wind and tempests. No, there's no lore behind it. It's just that Tempest's arrow, its cone, impacts on their staff first, which means the thing behind takes no damage. And it's really annoying. Oh, that's just for... Oh, that's also advice for LG as well. So yeah, so this is Fish and Mike. You just take this right control pad, just put it on the floor. Just put it on the floor like that, and then begin your run. And then that way, you'll get an amazing score. Now Michael Fish and LG, because he's just arrived, they can leave now with that advice and go and try it out. Right. Fish, LG, you gone? Yeah, they're gone. Right, okay. Don't put your controller on the floor. That was a ruse. I'm trying to throw the top players. Hello, LG. Good timing, mate. So, let's talk a little bit more about Paradise Lost, and then we'll actually start attempting some runs. Proper runs. So, I didn't actually take any special arrows then either as well. So, the configuration that you go into is also going to have some bearing as well. Now, as I said, Paradise Lost is a very vertical level, and so because of that, we can get the enemies are almost stacked on top of each other, and so you can kill enemies in your vicinity and the next lot will spawn almost immediately. Again, this is another thing that makes the killing of enemies with special arrows, decent special arrows, very, very quick. Now, some of the configurations are better than others. This one isn't too bad. If you can imagine that I had... Oh, don't do this to me. I don't need that. Okay, here's an example. So imagine I had a home and arrow, and now I do have one. I can just dump a load of shots down here, knowing that they'll travel, start killing stuff, and continue along my way. And a lot of the time with these homing arrows, this is kind of the technique that you'll be using, is firing these arrows and just continuing along your way. Now, I know these are not headshots, but what they are is they are kills. And those kills are all stacking towards that executioner bonus. Now, this is the reason why I think, personally, Divine Sight is a better arrow than Cupid's Wrath. You get a lot more of them in the quiver of Divine Sight 3 and 5. They are capable of killing a lot more, and, most importantly, they are capable of headshots. The Cupid's Wrath arrow will never reward you with headshot points because they can't hit the head. The actual Cupid's Wrath arrow explodes on the target before it actually hits them. So, A, you won't hear that juicy headshot sound, and B, you won't score anything for it. But that's not to say that they're not useful, because you can kill very quickly. Couple other things just to quickly note as well. That's, even though that teleport arrow was a headshot on that Cupid, scores nothing. Come on, get up. Boo. And even though that was in the head, scores nothing. Only shots. Now, shield strikes to the head did used to count as headshots, which was useful for a particular achievement as concerning bats, but that is no longer the case. Not only do they not even count anymore, they've never scored. So, now again, note how I'm moving through this area, but I don't have any special arrows. Your best runs will come from when you have the special arrows that you need and you get a plentiful supply of them. Now, another thing that I want to draw attention to as well, and this is part of the reason why I'm telling you to ignore Cupids to begin with. Can anybody tell me the percentage chance of dropping an item from a Cupid? That's right, chat. Well done. You got it in one. It is 0%. Cupids I believe, anyway, I think they might be able to drop health items, but I don't think Cupids are able to drop anything. And if I remember rightly, the reason being is because, for those of you who have played the original In Death game, when you picked up it, so Paradise Lost was in the original In Death game. Don't get me wrong, I'm trying to think now, have I ever seen a Cupid drop something? And I don't think I have. And the reason why I don't think Cupids drop is because in the original In Death game, that did include Paradise Lost, you actually had to walk up to the things and pick up the things. And so because you had to walk up to the things and pick up the things, didn't have any of this teleport-y hand that we have now, didn't have the ability to do that. You could not do that in the original In Death. And so because of that, I believe Cupids were never able to drop any items, because if an item spawned there, we wouldn't be able to get to it. We wouldn't be able to reach out and grab it. We'd have to get to it and pick it up, and you can't do that. Now in Death Unchained, obviously we can do this, but that bit of programming from the original In Death on PC VR still holds true, in that Cupids cannot drop things. Now, why is that really important? Well, first and foremost, we don't want to be killing Cupids initially, unless we're killing them as almost like a byproduct of all the special arrows that we're firing, because they're not worth very many points. When you are starting your run, and as you're doing it as well, well, at least this guy's got a chance of dropping something for me, something that might turn my run from a good run into a great run. At least that knight, that banshee, that archer could drop me good stuff. Now, for those of you who have been on the channel and with me long enough to have done some of my testing streams with us, how many drops do we get on Paradise Lost across the 2 levels? That's right, chat, it's 7. And so you should get, well, I think we worked it out between 6 and 8 drops across the 2 levels. Now, 6 to 8 drops of special arrows and various bits and pieces is a lot for quite a short level. And if we also know that the only, what great teleport arrow that was, if we also know that only the likes of these guys and not all those Cupids that are flying everywhere are going to drop things, we can become a little bit more targeted on starting our runs and maintaining our runs and keeping on getting the fuel for the fire, the fuel being special arrows. Now, let's see. So what else can we talk about quick? And I'll start doing some proper runs soon. So we've talked about scoring quite extensively. We've talked about a little bit about technique and tactics within the actual levels. The other thing to note as well is there should, I think it's still 8. Where did you come from? I think it's still 8 configurations. So this is one configuration. This is how it looks. The enemies, their placements-ish, and the enemy types can vary, but the layout here is as is. That is a layout. This game is kind of procedurally generated, but not the actual levels. Where they are and the order of them is procedurally generated or randomly. Basically, that whole thing is randomly selected for the first part. That whole thing randomly selected for the second part. Now, what are the good configurations? These ones that have got long corridors and really tight areas, not so great for us. The ones that are quite open, really good, because if we get divine sights and various arrows that have their homing properties, they're less likely to clatter into walls, more likely to clatter into enemies. So both of these configurations are actually quite good, but there's some that have quite huge areas indoors. The area underneath the dance floor or the party floor or whatever you call it, depending on how long you've been playing, that's not a particularly good one. The dance floor is good, but the area underneath it, not so good. Not for, you know, homing arrows, or at least not for divine sights, and you can waste a lot of arrows there. So we know not to target Cupids. You know, if you're moving past them and you've got time to shoot them, then happy days, but you shouldn't spend too much time on them, and you want to be trying to get these special arrows. The other thing is, do you come in and visit a shop. 2 seconds. Hello, Thrixie. Huh. Is that the same guy from Compound? Didn't you do the music tracks from Compound? Or at least the picture looks the same. If it is, hello, dude. Excellent music work. Do we come into shops? Or do we not come into shops? Now, my argument would be, you don't want to be coming into shops. Loads more quivers. Look at you, Fixie. How good is that? You're famous on my channel. You didn't even know it. I know who you are. Excellent music, sir. It is fantastic. It was. Hang on. You didn't. Was it yourself who did the music? I know you did Compound. I thought it was yourself who was responsible for some of the music, or what have you. But yeah, either way, a fantastic game. Love the bow on that game. So, as far as this one's concerned, do we visit shops or do we not visit shops? I've said it before and I will say it again. Your best runs... Oh, bong. Your best runs... Speed Black, that's who I was thinking of. Now, I've seen your picture that's come up and that name plenty of times in the Compound Discord and in the game itself on those last levels, which is very cool. So, do you visit the shops or do you not visit the shops? I will still maintain that you want to stay out of the shops. Your best runs will come from runs where you don't have to visit the shops because you are being fucking bombarded with all these great arrows and the quivers to keep them going. If you don't have to go into the shop to go and get them or find them or resupply them, you will have a better run. And that's even more prevalent and important on Paradise Lost because the two configurations of the entirety of a Paradise Lost cycle are so close together that if you don't have to visit the shop, you can keep your executioner bonus going between the two levels. Keeping it going from one cycle to the next, probably not a thing. Now, a couple of other things that I need to test as well, because I didn't get a chance to do so earlier, is this used to work on runner. If you fire your teleport arrow and then draw another one, no, so that doesn't work. That used to work on runner. It might still work on the crossbow. We'll have to have a check of that later on. But you used to be able to fire your teleport arrow in and then set up another one. And then what that meant is you already had a teleport arrow drawn. I think that still works on the crossbow, but it doesn't work on the bow, not for the purposes of this tournament. So let's get up here. You might know then, dude. What's Bevan working on next? Because I know he's working on something, and I'm keen. Is it... I mean, you probably wouldn't be able to say even if you did know, I would imagine. But I know he is working on something. I'm very keen to see what it is. Kind of hoping it's something like Compound style, but medieval or D&D or something. That would be amazing. Anyway, so... what we're going to do here, I'm going to demonstrate some other bits and pieces as well. So... oh, go for it. Quest every single day, and the reason being is I am not obviously don't take offense if you are, anybody in the chat, I'm not a graphics tart. I'm a standalone kind of guy. I don't like to have all the faffing around with PC VR. I'm not a fan of the latency between them, but more importantly, In Death, the original game, has not been supported for a very, very, very long time. In comparison to In Death Unchained, it is like a quarter of what this game has in it now. Basically, In Death, the original, has 2 bosses, 2 levels, only 3 pits, and quite a lot less in the ways of special arrows, enemies, and all sorts. It also, this game has a lot of quality of life improvements. Like, for instance, in a game where you are able to hyperly move around the map and teleport and kill, and do all these good things, You want to be able to grab things as they come. You cannot bring things towards you on the original in Death. Other things on the original in Death. You can't move. You can't free locomotion and shoot at the same time. And there's no way to change that. As soon as you draw an arrow, you stop dead still like this. And it's really jarring. Or at least I find it really jarring, having played this. So my advice would be, also as well, the In Death Unchained on the Quest version goes on sale quite often. You don't want to be paying for more than... Yeah, you want to pick it up at 30% plus. You know, the Black Friday sale was at 40% off. And the Christmas sale that's coming up very soon is at 33%. And In Death is a quarter of the game that In Death Unchained is. So, one of the things... I'll continue with that in a minute. One of the other things as well. When should you check your time, how much you have left, and what your score is? Never. Except when travelling from one cycle to another through the portal. Because if you put your hand up, you can check as it's going into and loading the game. And so you're not wasting any time. One of the things that you might note is if you fire a teleport arrow and then look at your hand, it doesn't come up. Why is that? Because the familiar that powers the teleport arrow is also the thing that powers your time, score, and gold. So do be aware of that, because every time you're checking your hand, that is seconds wasted that you cannot afford, because whilst you are looking at your score, you're not killing things. And if you're not killing things, you're not scoring. So, yeah. Go for In Death Unchained on standalone all day. The other thing as well is this game actually looks very good on the Quest 3 and on the Pico 4. It even looked very good on the Quest 2, if I'm honest. It's one of the games that I judge graphics by. And again, you know, what you see me streaming and what's in the headset, as you well know in VR, are two completely different things. The Quest version is still being supported by the team at Super Bright. Like, for instance, this is a tournament that's on at the moment. So there's still work being done on the game. You know, they're doing the minimum at the moment. But they are actually putting together a Quest 3 upgrade. And so when the Quest 3 upgrade, again, if you like your graphics, I reckon when the Quest 3 side of things comes out, I don't think it's going to be amazing. But when the Quest 3 patch comes out to bring this up to Quest 3 standards, I think we'll see it a little bit. I reckon it'll look maybe low-end PC, because there's one thing that the In Death on PC VR has over Quest is it just looks amazing. Oh yeah, you're missing something big time. Settings, movement, free locomotion on. So yeah, settings, movement, free loco on, and then you're good to go. And as I said, you can shoot whilst moving. A lot of the time, you know, your teleport arrow is what you use for your main movement, because that's what gives you the big bounds. But you can also use the shard as well, as good as it is. It's not very good. But the teleport arrow is how you make your vertical leaps, but everything else is done with free loco. You should be always moving forward on this game as well, at least in the tournament side of things. And yeah, the only problem with the shard is it's not quite as good. So I suppose the next question for us to address is where should we be looking to get to within the tournament to score the maximum amount of points? Because as you'll have seen, we've already gone through 2 levels, and we can very, very quickly go through another 2 levels to get to the next cycle. He says hopefully before he runs out of time. Oop, that was a bad arrow. Damn it. That was a really bad arrow. So we're in cycle 2 at the moment. What does the cycle mean? Well, I don't think you've got enough time to be killing. And again, we'll have a quick check of our score. Rubbish, but we can see our time. That's the main thing here. So now we're in cycle 3. Everything's health goes up a little bit. The amount of gold that enemies are worth goes up a little bit. The amount of life that these Banshees have has gone up enough that they can now take 3 headshots, and they're worth not much more. Like, the Cupids are worth maybe an extra 10 gold from being a couple of cycles up. You'll see this Knight will take at least 2 headshots. These Monks will take 2 headshots. Cupids will still only take 1, be it a headshot or a body shot. But remember what I said about scoring? The more headshots you put on them, the more score you're getting. The only problem that you have with the bow is a headshot at that sort of range is going to kill him regardless of whether he's cycle 1 or probably up as far as cycle 6. And that reason being is because the way that the bow works in this game is the further away they are, yes, you score more points, but in addition to that, the more damage you do. And if you're killing them quicker, if you're killing them quicker, then you're not getting as many headshots out of them, and so you're not getting as many points. So we want to try and skirt the fine line. I would say there's not an ideal cycle to get to, but with the tactics that we're going to be employing, the further you get, the less effective said tactics. Oh, you got one in the arse. The less effective the tactics are going to become. For instance, a Tempest will still kill Cupids in one shot, even if we got up to about cycle 20. Well, no, not cycle 20, cycle 10. Won't kill Knights in one shot. Probably won't even kill Knights in one Tempest headshot either. And will definitely not be a very good one to use about Banshee. Oh, that'd be awesome. If he does something like... Please tell him to do something like Compound, but like Aliens. Oh, it'd be so good. It'd be so good. Because I played a game that's a little bit like that, and they were just off the mark with... I mean, it was still a good game. I'm trying to think what it's called now. It's like Dropship Shock Troopers or Drop Troopers or something along those lines. I played that, but the problem with the... I think it was Shock Troopers. The only problem that I had with Shock Troopers is, unfortunately, I'd played Bevan's masterpiece that is Compound before. And so, in comparison, there kind of wasn't a comparison. Don't get me wrong, still a good game, but Compound is a very, very, very good game. So, very well put together. So, let's have a quick look at what we're dealing with on here as well. Tithe Collector is the amount of money that you have scored in a match, and you get basically 1 point per number of gold. Doesn't matter whether you spend it or not, that's still banked. So if I earned 10,500 gold and spent 10,000 of it, I would still, in the shops, I would still earn 10,500 points. As far as the marksman... Oh yeah, that's the one thing that Tempest has got going for it, is it can kill lots of enemies. It fires, if you know what a railgun is, where it basically fires a kind of, I don't know, hypersonic round, and it can pass through multiple enemies. Railguns are what they usually refer to in games. The Tempest is basically like a rail shot, but it also has, if you imagine firing a circle out in front of you with the Tempest, and anything that circle touches will die. Obviously, the further the arrow gets away, the smaller the area, because it kind of works like a diminishing cone, basically. Oh, you can kill hundreds of Cupids if they were all lined up. So there's a particular... The other thing as well is the arrow, the Tempest arrow, actually has upgrades on it, which help with the amount of damage that it does when it does that thing. So basically, I think you have to kill 8 enemies in one big conga line, and I can show you places to go and do that to upgrade the arrow. And then I think it does additional damage to the second target. So it does normal damage to the first target and then additional damage to the second. The things I know about this game. So, okay, so I think it was yourself who's struggling with, you know, getting past the first cycle. If you are not using Tempests, like, the one thing that I will say is, and Sean will back me up on this because he's been through that. And a lot of you will say the same as well if you've gone from that sort of, like, good level to getting to the top, like Fish and LG and whatnot. They'll have done the same as well. When you first start the game, use Tempests. They are like the training wheels of IDU. You get shitloads of ammunition for them, and you can actually hit things at a really good range, even though you might not be that accurate. Because with Tempest, you kind of just have to point in the general direction because there's no dip on the arrow and it's got a big marker to hit them with. It just makes dealing with things like Cupids very, very easy. Everybody goes through the phase of having Tempests. I, once upon a time, believed that Tempest was the greatest arrow ever invented. But then as you use Tempest and you start getting into the groove of the game, the more that you find that Tempest is a bit of a useless arrow. Great in these early cycles, but it ain't going to get you many headshots, and it's going to kill a lot of enemies, but they're not going to get you headshots, which means that you're not scoring. Now, use them for everything. You get loads in the quiver as well. When you've got the quiver fully unlocked, and if it's blessed, you can get up to like 52. Oh yeah, no, use Tempests. Oh, mate, do so. If you haven't played it for a long time, Thrixie, there's an additional starting level now called Desolation, which is really good graphically wise for Quest 2. There are new enemies, there are new arrows, there are different configurations. Hello, Zog. You're all right, mate, you haven't missed too much. Oh, I haven't even started yet, mate. You wait. So, I'm just talking through it at the moment. We'll actually play this properly and try and top Mr. Fish. Or maybe, well, no. In my particular style, as Cynthia well knows, we'll get just below him, just to give him a little scare at the top there. So, because we don't want to, you never put your best score up first. Otherwise, the other guy knows what he has to beat. I want him to sit at the top nervous. That's where I want him. And we've got plenty of days left. Plenty of days left on the old tournament. So the one thing that I can show you, or can tell you with Tempests is hang on, let's just go and have a quick check. So yeah, as far as Tempests are concerned, Tempests are your kind of training wheels arrow. And if you like Tempests, brilliant. Happy days, they're a great arrow. You will get past them eventually. I just want to check something for Melissa quickly, because it's been a while. Eternal Rapture. Tempest deals 100% bonus damage to the second enemy in path, and Eastern Wind. Tempest deals plus 50% damage to enemies if they are at full health. If you haven't killed 666 enemies with Tempest in the main game, then it's doing 50% less damage than what it should be. And if you haven't killed a large number of enemies with a single Tempest, i.e. lining them all up, and I'll show you often. If you look for Eternal Rapture and Eastern Wind, I've done some tips videos on those two arrows specifically and where to unlock them and the importance of unlocking them as well. So these make these arrows even better than they already are. The other thing to note as well with Tempest is that it fires like the portal there. It fires like a circle with the arrow out in front of you. So if you can imagine, that's just a circle, and it fires that. I haven't got anything good as an example, but it fires as the arrow travels. Can I? No, hang on. Let's see if I can pull it off. I don't think I can. No, I can't because it'll cancel it. Anyway, so if you can imagine where the arrow is firing now, and I'm aiming for the top of the flames, the circle of that arrow would actually hit the bowl and above the flame as well, and to the sides. And so what you want to do with Tempest is you want to fire it kind of over. No worries, Thrixie, we'll do, mate, we'll do. So as far as this circle side of things is concerned, where I find the best place to have the enemy's head is on the bottom of the circle that you are pushing out with Tempest. And again, if you do that, that is one of the keys to scoring well in the other mode within the game, within Siege of Heaven. You want to be aiming the Tempests above the enemies so that the first point of impact for the circle is their heads, because it's not actually a circle. If you imagine when that arrow is firing out, I believe it's more like a cone. But I always say that it's a circle, so you get an idea of the sort of area that is covered by the shot. Now then, let me just quickly refer to my notes whilst I have a little wet and a little smoke, because I've got a couple of other things that I want to cover, and then we'll get into knocking some scores down, shall we? So, look at this. This is professional levels of not being able to read your own handwriting. So, who writes this drivel? Abyss Trials, but different. Yeah, okay, I think we've covered that. Headshots and scoring, Executioner, Keepers Don't Drop Stuff. That's an OGID thing. Specials and Quivers are key. The levels, okay, so we'll talk about I know we've talked about that. The levels are short, so you should be through them fast. Divine Sight is top dog. In and out of the shop, stockpile for success. Don't pick up unnecessary arrows and health. Tempests are okay from above. I'll show that off later. Cool, I think we've pretty much covered everything. The only other thing that I would like to add as well, and this will cover anybody who has put some time in on the crossbow. It doesn't really matter how much you do it, because I would imagine that everybody will find that, because most people, I don't know many people that fire well, maybe. I fire the crossbow quite low. I think most people do as well. The long and the short of it is you don't have a straight armor out with the crossbow all the time. And so why is that beneficial? That is basically, I can use the crossbow to play the trials to rest my arm from having played with the bow. Because as you can probably appreciate, keeping your arm out all the time over a 10-minute period is pretty fucking exhausting. And then if you're going fast on top of that as well and not using slow time, you can end up with your arm up for exceptionally long amounts of time. So this does become a little bit of a stamina management game as well. The other thing I'll address with all of that is know when to take a break on this game. Many a time, so like for instance, and I've done this, you may start one of these when you are particularly tired and your arm is really feeling it and maybe a bit sore, and then you'll get the arrows that you need, that you know that you need to beat your personal best and get that success, and then you push yourself and you push yourself further than you should, and that's how you break arms and shoulders and all sorts. So, and also you won't play the good arrows, the special arrows, the right configuration and all that good stuff. I guarantee you won't play it as well as you will when you are reasonably fresh. So I'm not advising you to take regular breaks, like what, 15 minutes every 1 hour? Who does that in video games? Bloody warnings. Who do they think they are? Never take breaks. But you should rest. And as I said, one of the ways that you can rest, if you can play the crossbow, is to use the crossbow, because it uses a different set of like kind of muscles and various bits and pieces. So it's one of the ways that I rest. Like for instance, I've probably got 2 or 3 good goes in me over the course of a day, maybe a couple more when I'm in practice. And then between those, I'll use the crossbow. And then as the... oh, damn it, forgot to take an arrow. Then as the tournament wears on, you know, you have less and less runs. So let's try and do something a little bit more like it. So I would go straight in here. He's in my way anyway, so I'd kill him. And again, we're just going to get straight into there and try and get headshots where we can. And again, note how I am not really going for the Cupids, mainly going for everything else, basically. Now, those two arrows, part of the reason why I've slowed down is because those two arrows are garbage. I'll explain why I've kind of stopped, and I'm going to start again in a minute. The other thing to note as well is whilst you are operating in an area and killing all these things and continuously moving, and all those Cupids are looking at you, if you imagine that this is another part of the level and we're traveling and we're traveling. I said we're traveling! A lot of smoke, that always brings them on. What is one thing that we know that Cupids do when they've been alerted to your presence? Well, they don't seem to want to fucking do it now, do they? No, of course they won't. They won't do it on command. Never work with animals, children, or Cupids. So, one of the things that Cupids do when they've been alerted to your presence, if they lose line of sight to you, is they will teleport down your fucking throat. Now, that's good for us in a time trial thing, because that saves us having to shoot them. They're basically going to come and put themselves on our arrows, kinda, because when they teleport in very close. I'll try and demonstrate. Typical, isn't it? They constantly teleport down your throat. They'll always move into open space as well. So, like, for instance... Oh, no, that one didn't teleport. He spawned. Come on, now. There we go. Teleported in. Heard him. I've turned the volume up a little bit as well. Oh, look. Another one teleported in. There'll probably be more. That one should be alerted. There you go, teleported in. So if you're alerting them just by visual presence, and as you're firing arrows and moving around, look at all of these that are teleporting in. Now imagine I was moving through the level and killing other things, and they were just popping up, and you just pop them off with an arrow, or you fire your good arrows. Now, what I'm going to be doing, because when we start doing runs to try and score well, going back to this whole not knackering yourself and only having so many good runs in you, you need to know when you are doing crap against when you are doing good. And if you are playing at a higher level and know what you're doing to get to the very top of those leaderboards, or in, like, you know, top 20 or what have you, the kind of rule that I've developed is if I either kill enemies and see two things spawn that are not what I want, or see one as loot in a level and then another one, basically if two items have appeared and they're not what I want, I would return to lobby and start again. And what this does then is it basically means you have that little burst of maybe 30 seconds or so. If you are, depending on how experienced you are, you should try and play all the way through if you've got a decent run going. But this is for those of you who are trying to accomplish these bigger scores. And then, you know, those of you who are not should try and follow suit. Is that we go in, we have that burst of speed for maybe 30 seconds to a minute and try and get the arrows that we need. And if we don't get the arrows that we need, we stop and we quit. Because otherwise, you end up wasting all that energy of your arm for nothing. Hello, weeps. How are we doing? So, let's get in there, get those headshots in. So that's one. Again, let's try and get... headshots, please. Gonna not worry about the Cupids too much. If they're in the way, I'll get them. I'll get out of the way. Notice as well, I'm taking reasonably small bounds. But one of the things that I will try and do is try and shoot enemies as I'm teleporting, because you do have time to do it. Now, what I'm doing is following quite a well-practiced route that I have. Now, note how nothing, absolutely nothing, like one enemy has dropped something, and then nothing else is. Now, we're now getting to the point where if I don't see a special arrow, and a very good one, sometime within the next few seconds... Look, there's our number 2, Cataclysm 3. Rubbish. Let me show you why. It's not going to do it now. I think it only does it when you kill enemies with it. See that slow time? As the explosions are going off and hitting enemies? That doesn't help us. We don't want anything to do with slow time. And an arrow that is going to force slow time on us, as good as it could be for clearing an area, it's not as good as other arrows that do not force slow time. There's one arrow in particular that does a level of explosion that will kill pretty much anything in 1 to 2 shots, just like Cataclysm, but it has no slow time associated with it whilst it's doing the killing, and it has homing, and it is called Cupid's Wrath. Preferably, you want the ×3 variant. So, again, we've gone through, we haven't got the arrows that we wanted, so I'm not going to be able to show you a decent run. And this, welcome basically to tournament life. This is kind of like what I've developed as a system. You go in, you kill enemies for 30 seconds to a minute, or until 2 things have spawned, and if you haven't got the things that you need, then you pack it in and start again. Now, even if you are not looking at getting past the 100k mark, that is still good advice, because if you get good arrows at the start, your score will improve and your survivability will improve. That's one other thing that I will add as well. Just like any other trial, do not be concerned about your life bar, and don't be too concerned about picking up life unless you are on death's door. Another thing to note in these Paradise Lost trials, although there is no boss, you would go, wouldn't you? Although there is no boss, as far as the Abyss trials is concerned, the life that the boss gives you as a drop when you enter his arena is still there. So that means that we will get for free at least 1 bit of health if we don't buy any from the shop or get any in the level, 1 bit of health per cycle. And there is a clever and quick way to pick up these things. I can actually demonstrate it here. So let's say, for instance, I was firing a teleport arrow. You can still, as long as you are not in slow time, grab hold of an item. It doesn't work so well with arrows, but this is called teleport grabbing. So you teleport and grab the thing. It's not going to work in here, is it? Of course it would. Why would it? You teleport and grab the thing. Can't get along. Teleport. It's the up there. Teleport. Wow, it doesn't actually work in here. Interesting. Okay, anyway, so long and the short of it is, during the levels, it doesn't seem to work in here, but during the levels, if you fire an exceptionally long teleport arrow, you can still grab the item and it'll actually follow you. As far as life is concerned, it will follow you as well. And that is done by initiating the teleport and then just pointing and grabbing and holding trigger and hold onto it even as you teleport. You'll probably see me do it whilst we're playing, but it basically makes use of your travel time. So instead of picking up an item, then firing off the teleport arrow and waiting for it to land, you fire off the teleport arrow, quickly turn to whatever it is that you want to grab it, and then as you teleport, you grab that as well. And it just speeds up the entire process. Anyway, let's take Divine Sight. As useless as it is, and as much as I won't use it, it might do us a favour. So, yeah, this is the boring part of the stream now. This is where we do a lot of restarting to try and get that good start. And the thing is, I may play this entire stream and not actually get it. Now, you can see... Yeah, come on now. Come on now. You can see the Divine Sight doing a bit of work there. And again, I'm going to try and concentrate. So this is part of the reason why I'm concentrating on the main enemies and not the Cupids as well, is if I get the right arrow, I'll be able to just fire off a couple of random arrows, and these Cupids that I'm skipping past at the moment will all die. And so I won't have had to actually spend any time. I haven't had a single drop yet, so like those ones I'll leave up there. You can go. And again, don't concern yourself too much with getting hit. You've got loads of life. As long as you keep pushing forward on the locomotion stick and keep... Now, note how I moved through that one and picked it up as well. That's one of the few times that you should be picking up health, even if you don't really need it. If you can move through it through locomotion, you can then pick it up without actually having to try and pick it up. It basically means that we're staying busy whilst we're playing the game and still picking up the health. So again, you can hear me losing life at not a massive rate, but because I'm constantly moving, all the things that are trying to target me will usually miss. Divine Sight ×5. Now that's way too late in the day, but this is what this arrow's capable of. We can just fire it into the areas that we just visited and all those cupids that we missed, and it does the work for us. Because they're homing arrows, and that's what we want. Now, we don't want to be too wasteful with them. Now, if I'd have got that arrow within the start of, like, the first, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds of this level, things would have been a lot different on my score. That was terrible. And this is probably the worst configuration for a Divine Sight ×5, but we can try it. Azure's Fury's not too bad. It's good on the killing, because every hit is hitting something else multiple times. It will take out cupids, but not at a great rate. And we're just kind of using this one whilst we're in a bad area for Divine Sight ×5. So this is a much better place for it. Hear all those headshots as well? They're all scoring. And that's what we want. Let's get another Azure's Fury. Get a decent little one of these. And mainly using the Azure's Fury, you'll see the lightning coming off of it. Not to kill enemies, or not to kill enemies that I'm after, but note how if the lightning that jumps off of this touches a cupid in the first 2, 3, 4 flashes, it will kill it. So again, it's all about being hyperly efficient. Killed. With one hit kills 2 enemies. Probably 3 or 4 then. It's not doing enough damage to take on regular enemies, but it is doing enough damage to kill those cupids, which then allows us to ignore them. See that one shot take out 3? Now, Azure's Fury is not a good arrow by any stretch of the imagination, but it does do a job for us here, and it's kind of what we got to work with at the moment. It's allowing us to kill things quick. Now, at this point, we haven't got very good arrows, and we've run out. So this is where I'd have a quick stop in the shop whilst I've got the maximum amount of money. Oh, hello, Divine Sight ×5, a second one. We can also do a little bit of a score check and a little bit of a time check here as well, because we're doing that anyway. Now, I know I said stay out of the shop. I got a very good arrow, but I wasted, got that as well, teleport grab. I wasted probably about 5 to 10 seconds getting that Divine Sight ×5. Now, it could be the difference between a good run and a bad run, but those 10 seconds are 10 seconds I'm not going to be able to score in now because I'm spending it in the shop. So... No, in the tournament, you have everything, mate. It'll all be available to you. Everybody has exactly the same level of progress. So again, same again, I know there's some enemies out here. I'll fire some of those out there. Let's get into the middle. Bosh, 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 bosh. Every time you hear a headshot as well, it's almost like 3 points. I mean, the kills are pretty much 3 points, but every time you hear those headshots that you're getting and you're not even having to really do yourself, it's all extra points. Can I get... This is the only problem with Azure's, is you actually have to hit your target to be able to get the additional, the collateral damage out of it. But yeah. The one thing I don't know is whether any progress within the tournament is counting towards any arrows. Oh, hello. And I wouldn't know that because I've got like 100% progress, so I'm never going to be able to find that out, unfortunately. So if anybody unlocks any arrows whilst they are playing during the tournament, let us all know, because that would be a nice bit of information to have. Another quiver. Oh, oh. If I'd got that first Divine Sight 5 a bit quicker, this could have been a very good scoring run. And we want to be straight out here. You can have one of those. 1, 2, 3. Ah. Come on, taking too long. Lots of enemies to kill here. This is what I want. Well, I don't mind having tons of quivers now. So also note how I'm not having to like actually visit certain parts of the level, because I can just fire a few of these, kill all the enemies, and then get straight to where it is that I need to go for the next lot of enemies. And it's a lot more efficient. Now, before someone says, nah, these tournaments with the special arrows are boring. Well, the one thing that I will say as somebody who plays the game to a reasonably high standard is that we never actually get to use any of the good special arrows because it's not part of the metagame. So this is actually a treat to be able to use these arrows the way that they're intended. We're getting out of here. Again, I don't want to stop at the shop, but we haven't picked up any quivers, or we have, but I've smashed through them. None of these are going to help except potentially ball lightning. This is a bit of a desperate choice. There. Now you see I've got 2 minutes left, and we're at 156,000 points. So there's the life that we want. Grab that. Note how, again, time stops when we are travelling from one cycle to another. Now, if we're quick here, we've got enough time to possibly get through quite a big part of this cycle. The only problem that we've got is we haven't got the arrows for it. So let's see if we can make the best of a bad situation. Now, lightning is good, kinda, in this situation, but only really for cupids. And that kind of makes it a bit bad, because it's hard to get the shot out for cupids. The problem with lightning at the moment is enemies won't stick around close enough to it for me to score out of it, for them to die rather. We've got some Azures left, haven't we? Might kill some of the cupids. Try and get some headshots. And so you can imagine if I'd have got another quiver, we would have been out of this level by now and we'd have killed everything and we would have been moving on to the next bit. Instead, I've probably killed about a third of the enemies back there, which is nowhere near enough. Let's see if there's a chance for another quiver. No, and that's pretty much run over at that point. And so this is where you shouldn't waste your arm, specifically. Because I haven't got the arrows that we need, but we might be able to add on to an alright score, but this is not going to be what we need. But you can hear all of these headshots coming in. That's the only thing that you don't want to get tagged with, but you will get tagged the higher cycles you go, because the faster the enemies get. But the only reason why you don't want to get tagged is because your next arrow then does shitloads of damage and could potentially stop you getting lots and lots of headshots out of an enemy that you could get lots of headshots. When the bong goes, this is when you use slow time. Look at these extra headshots and these extra kills that I'm getting. So do not use slow time. Oh, there you go, 184,000. you can imagine if we'd have got the extra quivers there, I could have completed that cycle and we would be above Mr. Fish right now quite easily, because I barely got anything killed in cycle 3. And it was all because we ran out of special arrows. We had the right ones, but then this is the RNG of tournament time. These are the sort of scores that you should be looking to achieve. Your marksman probably wants to be about half of your executioner. So this is the importance. Look at, like, over half of my score came from the fact that we were killing lots of enemies quickly, within quick succession of each other, which if you go back in the stream, you'll see. So that's my highest score so far. That's nowhere near what I can achieve. I reckon with the bow I can get into the 250s. With the crossbow I reckon I can get... In fact, no, I mean, with the bow I reckon I'm only capable of 204,000, and with the crossbow I reckon I'm capable of 199,000, which means that there's no chance... Cheers, LG. There's no chance that I will break 200k. So basically, Michael doesn't need to come back on and play at all, basically, anymore, because the tournament's his. He's won now. No way can I get anywhere near 200k. Not at all. So, Executioner, hopefully you can see the importance of killing quickly and without using slow time. The funny thing is, using slow time actually extends the Executioner timer. Whilst you're in slow time, it slows the Executioner timer, which allows you to get an even higher Executioner score. However, more time to kill is better than a slightly higher Executioner score. And being fast and killing more enemies is better. Right, so that full run has kind of knackered my arm out a little bit. So rather than waste my arm, we'll change over onto the crossbow and we'll see if we can get another good run going. Now, crossbow-wise, I use a slightly different technique where I put the crossbow in the same hand as my bow. One, it keeps everything in the same place for when I use the bow. And two, it allows me to do what I think is a really good technique for this style of tournament, and that is rapid fire. Oh, Hand of God. You shouldn't have. No, really, Super Bright. You shouldn't have. Now, the crossbow's properties are the exact opposite of the bow. The crossbow's properties are it does all of its damage when it is at close range, and it does less damage over distance. Now, why is that important? Well, the same is true for Divine Sight, and Divine Sight can get incredibly long-range headshots for you for nothing, for, you know, you don't have to put the work in. If those headshots are doing even less damage than normal, then there's a chance that you'll get even more headshots out of them. And worst case scenario, you'll kill it at the same rate. We don't seem to be getting any good special arrows here. So, special arrows that I would give consideration for: Divine Sight 3, Divine Sight 5. Ones that I would hope to see during my runs, but don't really want straight away. Oh, and Cupid's Wrath. Don't forget Cupid's Wrath. Ones that I would like to see during my runs: Tempest, and potentially Curse as well. But I would much rather see Divine Sights. Like, look at that. Look how quickly that takes out all those. Hello, fellas. Now, these are not headshots, so that is less scoring. But again, it's not so much about the headshots. We do want to get some, and it's Divine Sight that'll get us said headshots. Cupid's Wrath are extremely good. Wrath of God isn't all that good, if I'm honest, weebs. I'd rather take explosives. Wrath of God is good. The problem with Wrath of God is okay, the problem with Wrath of God is once you get past about cycle 2, and we will usually be getting through cycle 2, it won't kill enemies, like, you know, in one shot of it. Too late. Too late. And two, to use it effectively, well, you can't actually use it effectively on the crossbow, because with the crossbow you either fire at full strength or nothing, basically. And with the bow, you want to be firing it upwards. It is a great arrow, don't get me wrong, but for this, I would rather take Tempests. And again, it's for the same reason why I'd rather take Divine Sights. And it's for the same reason why I would rather take Divine Sight over Cupid's. Is at least with Divine Sights, there is a chance that I will get given a headshot. Whereas with Wrath of God, there's no chance of that happening. Well, I'm not going to waste my arm anymore on this run. So again, we've almost gone through both parts of Paradise Lost, and we've seen absolute garbage, arrows-wise. So I'd start again. So, I suppose we're at the point of the night now where questions! Ask for questions! All of you now, ask questions! I would possibly take Hail of Arrows over Divine Sight as my starting arrow. And the reason being is because Hail of Arrows is just mirroring what I'm already doing, but making me so I fire at an even faster rate. It also has the bonus ability of when you fire the 3... the first one is fully damaging, the second and the third are not. So when you get to the later cycles, if you can headshot like a Red Knight that has a big amount of life, you can get multiple. You should see it with Hail of Arrows, mate. Oh. So, but again, that's not that useful on Paradise Lost because there's not a lot of enemies that can take more than a full barrage of these. Even with the fact that the second and third bolts are actually weaker than the first. So, but yeah, as far as questions is concerned, if anybody has any questions about the game, the tournament, various bits and pieces, even if I've already covered them, I have got no problems with talking about them again. And reinforcing the lesson. Yeah, Cupid's Wrath and Cupid's Wrath times 3, they are very good arrows. I would want them in conjunction with Divine Sight, because I'd want Divine Sight for clearing the skies and trying to headshot multiple enemies at far range. But then Cupid's Wrath basically does the job that I would like Cataclysm to do. But I've said do not use Cataclysm because the explosions cause slow time. Cupid's Wrath, the explosions do not cause slow time, but they're just as effective, possibly a little bit more, because they are not a heavy arrow and they home in, so you can kill huge groups of enemies with Cupid's Wrath times 1 and times 3. Well, I'll just carry on then. I am planning on getting on the Pico. Knights who says me will be happy to know that I will probably forego my prizes again. Maybe not, we'll see. Why? No, I'm moving fast. It's literally because, right, so first and foremost, we're only in cycle 1. But this is one of the benefits of being able to have the second, like another gear. I've always strived to impart upon anybody who'll listen that not only do you need to have a very good slow game in this game, but you also need to have a fast game as well, or at least have a slightly faster play style than normal. And the reason being is it gives you somewhere to go when the shit hits the fan and slow time isn't going to work. And you can be fast. Now, part of the reason why Cupids are not looking like they're anywhere near as offensive as usual to you is, well, I've obviously played this game for years, so and so as far as I'm concerned, Cupids at cycle 1 shouldn't really be much of a threat as long as you, and this is the big point, keep moving. Now, the reason why Cupids are quite a tough enemy is the normal rules do not work on them. In that... Get up, bastard. The normal rules do not work on Cupids because they fire those 2 arrows. And sometimes they fire directly at you, sometimes they don't. If I can find an archer, I'd be able to demonstrate. Let me find an archer. See if I can find an archer. Of course we've got the configuration that has no bloody archers. So this is another thing as well. Notice how this configuration has got a lot of knights and particularly a lot of red knights. different configurations can have different things. Sometimes you'll get a configuration that just has... the configurations are always the same. The enemies that can be within them can change. Like, for instance, when you start seeing 1 or 2 enemies, you've got a pretty good idea of what enemy set you're going to be dealing with. So here, we know there's always going to be Cupids in this map regardless. And we know there's kind of always going to be Banshees as well. If we keep on pushing through, note how there is a brown monk there. And you'll probably find that this configuration is either just coloured monks or coloured monks with the occasional knight. So there's our occasional knight. Another monk over there. And what this will tell us what we're dealing with. So this one is just brown monks and red knights. And then on another configuration, and especially in higher cycles, the variety of enemies... The variety of enemies will increase as well. Right, that's a restart if ever I saw it. But yeah. Oh, archers. I can show you. So, here's a massive tip just for you, Melissa. This one will stop you taking a lot of damage. Not necessarily in the tournament, but will help you... Let me just clear the area a second. Should help you. Right, there's one there. So, let me clear all of this nonsense out. And I'll show you what we can do with the archer. Now, this is on the proviso that you can use locomotion. Now, watch this. He isn't firing at me. If I stand stock still and let him fire at me, he'll aim directly at me. I can either sidestep or use locomotion to move out of the way. But and note how if I'm not using locomotion, he fires for where I am. Fuck off! Oh, all of you then. Ow. Notice how when I'm not using locomotion, i.e. the movement stick, he fires directly at me for where I am. And I can either sidestep in real life or move out of the way with the locomotion stick. If I move the locomotion stick, he will fire to where I was going. Note how I stopped before as he took the shot. So moving left, 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 5 shots, stop. Misses me every time. Right, 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 stop. Misses me every time. Standing stock still and move. Misses me every time. Standing stock still and move. Misses me every time. Now, this will work on the first few cycles, but past about cycle 2 or 3, you know, they're too fast. The arrows fly too fast. But that in itself, and that actually works in a lot. That actually works in a lot. Ow. Too close there to be able to get out of the way with it. That actually works in a lot of VR games as well. And the reason being is it's the way that the game works. No, that's one of the reasons why Cupids are a very difficult enemy to take on, because Cupids sometimes fire directly at you, but more often than not they fire around you, which then completely balks what I just showed you. But that's why you just have to deal with Cupids fast. But again, if you keep moving and making use of slow time in the main game, this is a garbage run, then that will work. But then the thing is, that advice will mean that you will be losing a lot less in the way of life. Sometimes, yeah, they were supposed to have taken that out of the game, but I think it's snuck back in. They seem to do it more often than not in higher cycles. And when my favourite one is when archers fire like a point in this way but then fire at you like that. It's like, fucking yeah, nice one. You know the score. Like firing an arrow out the fucking side. Stupid. So right, we're on our rest period. We just did a little bit of crossbow, and I feel like I can be faster with the crossbow as well, because you don't have to pull as much on the I mean, just be faster than they are. As soon as you see them, get in their face and kill them. If they can't shoot you, then they can't hurt you. Simple as that. I mean, The only thing that I would say is, and like, you know, that probably comes much later. Cheers, Vaughn. Yeah, I know this isn't your bag. Vaughn will be back with us on Saturday. Then my advice would be... Right, there's our second drop. It's a quiver. This run is no good. My advice would be... Play the tournament. No, Cupids don't track you per se. They fire 2 shots. Sometimes accurately, sometimes not. So... They, a lot of the time, they don't have... I know it feels like sometimes they're tracking you, but they're not. A lot of the time, if you move out of their cone, they'll actually put the arrow away. So, let's try making use of these. So, the one thing that I would say is... The key to Cupids is slow time, first and foremost. But one of the things that you could also do is just... Pretend you're me and play like I do. Like an absolute fucking maniac and shooting shots all over the place and continually moving and not using slow time. Doing it in Paradise Lost is probably a really good idea. Or doing it within the trials. Because what does it matter if you die? Who cares? Right? You get used to something like the pits by just jumping in there and fighting in there. And just by going in there and just thinking like, yep, no consequences, doesn't matter. Who is afraid of them ghosts? Not me. You just go in and in and in. Right. Let's pop these on and let's go. Yeah. Those do home in on you. Those definitely do track. But I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying about Cupids and it feeling like they track you, but they don't. Look, that guy's not tracking me. A lot of the time. Cupids shoot where you were, but because they fire 2 arrows, that's how they can hit you. Because one arrow is usually in your general direction and then the other one is random. But sometimes they fire both at you, one's high, one's low. I mean, let's see, shall we? Like, they're not tracking me. They're going where I was, and they're firing either side of where I was, even though I'm moving. They're not tracking me, and this guy is not tracking me. Like, he'll move, but once he started taking his shot... Now, that was close because he's firing either side of me. So with... Oh, hello. With Cupids, a lot of the time, unless they do that, you can kind of stand... They're incredible... Like, Cupids, by and large, are incredibly inaccurate. See? Let's go nowhere near me. You're shit, mate. Fuck off. Standing stock still. Again, standing stock still and was surprised me. Missed me. So a lot of the time, they can't hit you. Even though you stand in stock still. But then this is... The Cupids do this on purpose because if you've learnt the lesson that I've shown you previously... then you're trying to constantly move out of the way of them, and that's when you get that. That's when they get you. Whereas archers try to either predict where you're going to or fire where you're at, depending on how you're moving. Cupids are the opposite, and they try and fire randomly around you and bring you down by rate of fire. Kinda. I know what you're getting at. Hang on. Let's show you. So, okay, so look at this guy. He's firing. And then he puts the arrow back. We won't go past him as much. Let's see if we can... So, bang in front of me. Keep moving. Note how he tracked me a little bit and then fired. The reason why he got me is because he fires those arrows wide. I suppose they do track you when you're very close. But that's because I'm not... basically, because there's no distance between me and him, I'm not moving very fast. If he's at a distance, he can still fire, but it'll only get me because he's firing out his arrows at weird angles. Oh, higher levels, all sorts of shenanigans goes on. But yeah, normal, I just think about it along the lines of Cupids and Archers. Yeah, Cupids and Archers, both, if you imagine they've got a cone in front of them, and depending on where you are within that cone, and it's probably only about 90 degrees, but depending on where you are within that cone and which kind of enemy it is, but it's also dependent on when they fire and at what state of readiness they're at as well. Get our ass kicked here. Ooh, legit death. Oh, you got me. So it's fine, we wanted to start again anyway. But yeah, Cupids are a difficult enemy, but if you can just not be where they're putting their weight of fire and trim down their numbers, they're not a difficult enemy all of a sudden. So, but until you get to that point, slow time and being very, very, very slow and methodical. And it's one of the reasons why I say that, like, when you're playing the main game, regardless of cycle, always be ready on that slow time button. You'll see me pressing it even when nothing's going on. And the reason being is because if I'm pressing it whilst nothing's going on, and a Cupid makes its noise and teleports right down my throat, I'm already on the button. I can turn and then fire at it. So, but yeah, slow time is the ultimate killer of Cupids, or the ultimate technique. You have to use slow time. Have to. Yeah, there are... there's quite a lot of things. Some of it could be programming. Some of it could just be coincidence. But I always find, like, for instance, a lot of enemies make their moves and start their teleports, especially at higher cycles, when arrows are in flight and coming at you. It's almost like, you know, they want to hit you, and they're going to make bloody well sure that that arrow goes in, or that something gets into an advantageous position. So, right, come on, give me enemies, give me enemies. Okay, that's 2 Bloods of the Lamb we've seen. And volley 5, start again. Now, the one thing that I will say is, note how I am taking Hail of Arrows now. And to me, it seems that when you take Hail of Arrows, and this is why I don't usually, but let's try a few more. Again, it might be just confirmation bias with these sort of things. It usually is. I'm assured it's random. I don't think it is, but I don't know. I say that about a lot of games. So, I'm assured it's random, but I don't think it is. Alright, let's... Yeah, we should be using them if we're going to take them. Die! Hear those multiple headshots that I got out of that red light? Was it because we were doing, you know, something special? Not really. We were using the arrows from Hail of Arrows, and it just so happened the first one went through his head, and the second and third one hit him in the head. And as I said, the second and third one, arrows within Hail of Arrows, do significantly less damage. That is a great trick. Oh, they won't come after you ever as long as you stand in the right place. That also just means that knights can only throw axes at you as well. Hell, you could even get up here and they wouldn't be able to... Well, you can get on some very low things and it completely confuses the tracking of enemies. Right, we are way too slow and nothing's happened within that first, like, again, minute to 30 seconds. Yeah, as far as slow time's concerned, like, I don't use a lot of slow time with the crossbow because I can... Yeah, go on, Melissa.
all special arrows. All arrows that have more than one special in it.
Oh, okay. So you mean like ×3 and ×5 variants? Like ×3 and ×5 variants of like Wildfire and Winter's Bite and things like that? Is that what you're talking about? Because if it is those that you're talking about, you don't really control them. The whole point of that spread is to, like, kind of, for massively dense groups of enemies which don't really occur in this. What you use those arrows for, if we get one, I'll try and remember to show you, because I would never really do it in this tournament, but you get really close. And then if you're really close and fire a ×3 or ×5 variant, you can hit all of them in the head as long as you are close enough. You've seen me. Have you seen me do Orphan Annihilation? The streams that I do with the Fletcher sigil, and I go just after orphans, and I go for the ×3 and ×5 variants. That's what those arrows are very, very useful for. But yeah, the lightning ones are a little bit different. The lightning ones are the only ones that are not good for Orphan Annihilation, because if you hit too close with those, they only fire one lightning. And this is not looking good. We have got the down. I would usually check this bit because there's a lot of enemies here, and we might get some drops out of them. We don't seem to have got any drops yet. Yeah. So this is no good. I'd love to get... Let's see if we can get one so I can show Melissa what I'm talking about. Yeah, making pincushions is a really good analogy. But yeah, the only real thing that I use the × variants of, other than Divine Sight 3, 5, and Cupid ×3, is close range headshots. Because you dump all of the... No, we haven't got any. But yeah, you can use those × variants to take out like targets of opportunity that can usually take a lot of hits. You literally jump right on top of, say, an orphan. Melissa, look up my Orphan Annihilation. Either live streams or, better yet, I did a little compilation. Orphan Annihilation, I've called it. And, I mean, 10 music off if you don't like it or whatever. But you'll see what I use multiple for, and it's for getting right next to a Cupid and then firing so close that all of the arrows go into its head and kill it instantly, because then if you kill it instantly, it hasn't got time to run away. I'm the same. Winter's Bite 3 comes into its own if you are droughted in later stages and not getting any quivers or any winter bites, and you need something. But other than that, it's just a worse version of Winter's Bite. You get less of them, and you don't get Winter's Bite for causing initial arrow damage. You get Winter's Bite for causing all that juicy tick damage or freezing things. So the amount of arrows is irrelevant, and yeah, no way am I wasting my time trying to line up enemies next to each other so that I can get that arrow to be efficient. Not a chance. Hello, Al. How we doing? No, not yet. Come on now, it's day 1 of the tournament, or day 2? That's not how we operate on this channel. Ooh. So, here's Curse of God. Curse of God should do very well here. Now, Curse of God is a good one, as long as you let it work. The problem with Curse of God is when it inevitably hits an enemy that it can't kill. Ow. And also, having to fire it out there is an absolute pain. Having a couple of curses going off at the same time as you firing all those Divine Sights, as I was doing earlier, can basically mean less targets for Divine Sight, which then means you're using less arrows to kill the same amount of enemies. There we go. So that'll go 1, 2, 3. Because it's worth 20. it's worth 25,000 points, Melissa. That's why. And in the pit, it's worth 62,500 points in the pit. Money, money, money. Points, points, points. That's why everybody loves killing dem orphans. And on top of that as well, you also get a special arrow. Yes, that special arrow is going to be unholy wind, but you know, it might be. We live in hope of the fact that it might be something different. So this would have been, if I'd have got some, like a divine sight on the way here, and then pit stopped in the shop because I only had one. This would have been a fantastic, because I could have absolutely popped off knowing that I could jump into the shop right at the end and re-quiver up to go into cycle 2. But unfortunately, that is not the case. So we restart. Hopefully I'll get something like it. But yeah, you should be able to see that if you get the right arrows... Yes, that is... Oops. That is another problem. No, that's Divine Sight times 1 for smacking a Cupid with the shield. So, yeah, cheers, Net. No worries. Good, good. I want to see big scores, Net. Big scores. So,
It's got.
Right, okay. Yeah, so they're worth good big points. But then the other thing, Melissa, as I've said, if it's your first time through the game, the score is nice to kind of register where you're at and how you're improving, but you shouldn't even concern yourself with your score until you have played through the game and got 100% at least once. Because it's until you get to 100%, you cannot be scoring at your maximum potential. For instance, as you now know, if there isn't an orphan in every single cycle and every single pit and every single level within those cycles, then you're losing out on 3 points. Well done. Good man, that's what I like to hear. But yeah, you know, it's again, I've got another video that puts all of these points together in the scoring thing that I've done. And the reason why I say about the 100% thing as well is we'll go and have a look at Tim's score in a second. Give him his little 5 minutes, shall we? Little 5 minutes of fame for Bang Banger. Oh, holy light, yeah, that's going to help us, isn't it? If only it gave us times 4 points. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Oh, Hand of God. Brilliant. Just so you know, just so we know, even if you are in a Hand of God, the timer still goes at the same rate. Even if you put slow time on whilst in a Hand of God, the timer for the tournament still inevitably ticks on. Yeah, of course it's Tempest. Too late though, too late. So yeah, I've got a video up all about scoring. So I think I called it, or well, actually no, AI told me, or one of the title helper things told me to call it like Master Strategies for Hitting the Top 10 or something. And I suppose that's correct. It's not clickbait, is it? Okay. Azure Fury's good. Divine Sight is the one that you want to be. You'll be fine. Just got to get in there and get used to it. But again, like, you know, a lot of people have had that problem as well, where it's like, I think it was it Cynthia who said about the pit and being terrified about being in the pit, or it might have been you, Melissa, I can't remember. And I just said, like, well, use the pit runner tournament, go in there over and over and over again, and it's completely inconsequential. And when the pit runner tournament's not in, just start at cycle 1, start a new game, go straight for the pit, and just go in there and play. and just keep doing that until it doesn't feel as terrifying, basically. Yeah. And that worked for you on the pits, didn't it? Oh, Curry Cat, that's it. There you go. Same with Paradise Lost. Exactly the same as Paradise Lost. Do exactly the same. You need to kill Anakim 6 times. You're welcome. You have to kill Anakim 6 times. Oh, we'll start that again. You have to kill Anakim 6 times, and which I'm sure you've already done, and then you can go directly to Paradise Lost from the main menu. Just keep doing that. You know where that portal is in Sanctuary for that, don't you? To the right of the start differences between you've got Purgatory on your left, Desolation on your right, and then to the further right of that is Paradise Lost. Just keep going in there. Just keep going in there, starting with vanilla arrows, keep doing it until Paradise Lost no longer matters. And then when you get to Abyss, you'll tell me that you have the same problems, and I'll tell you to do exactly the same thing. But yeah, this is part and parcel of why I say 100% is a good idea. Now, for the veterans amongst you, you'll know that you don't need 100%. You do not need 100% to maximize your score. But no, you'll be fine. Yep. Always the same advice. Always the same advice. Always, always. So, getting anything? Come on, give me arrows. With this bit, because of this configuration, I would wait until I get up here and kill some of this, because one of these will yield something special. Cupid's Wrath. Okay, that's an arrow. So this will allow us to get our speed on a little bit. It's a little bit tardy, an arrow. Excuse me. A little bit late, timing-wise, and I'd much rather have the ×3 variant because it's a lot more destructive. Oh, why didn't that hit? Boo. Note how I'm firing as well as I'm moving. Oh, definitely. Definitely. So, this one for me is a bust. Cupid's Wrath ×1 is not good enough. Not good enough. No, I mean, the thing is, if you have 100%ed the game once, that is enough. But the thing is, there's a lot of grinding, and there's a lot of things to do within that 100%, which will make you a better player. You don't need... You need about 95% of the achievements to be able to score at maximum. And some of the achievements, like, for instance, bashing a Cupid with a shield to be able to get Divine Sight unlocked. You don't need Divine Sight ×1. It's fucking garbage. But the thing is, if you try to avoid bashing a Cupid with the shield, I guarantee you'll do it at some point by accident. Guarantee you. So that's, you know, like for instance, you don't need Pestilence. Pestilence is a bit of a dog shit arrow as well, because after cycle 2, maybe even after cycle 1, it's no good. You need to go through some of my videos, Cynthia, the ones that are in my IDU tips and tricks playlist, and you need to start unlocking more, because the more you unlock in the game, on the one hand the game gets a little bit harder because tougher enemies come after you, but on the other hand things get a lot easier because you get things like more health, more armor, better arrows, more of them. And yeah, the pros outweigh the cons of progress within the game. But I know you have only just really started playing the game within the last, what, 6 months? So you're doing fine. You do. Sorry, Melissa. Sorry. Yeah, you're doing fine. Yeah, not you, Cynthia. You know what you're doing. Hell, you've been around long enough to know what even my tactics are. This is what I do. Positioning. All part of a good tournament strategy is a good bit of positioning. Try and undermine the opposition. Because the thing is, like, even if I wasn't capable of scoring anything more, if I do it every tournament and do well in every tournament, then whether I can score better or not, people have to think I can. It's called gamesmanship, people. Mike loves a bit of it. Okay, yeah, but you might not have been able to... Yeah, you haven't been able to put as much time in this as others. So, there's nothing wrong with that. But hey, enjoy it whilst it lasts. One day you'll get to the point where you've been playing this game too long that you're like, I need more content, give me more things, and it's just the same. Over and over and over again. Okay. Yeah, see, I had a lot of experience. Well, I had a good 6 months to a year of experience. Oh, thanks for the holy light. And it replaced the only good arrow that we had. Boo. 1701 ghosts, yeah. But then the thing is, that one is a very, very important achievement to get, because Hand of God literally can change the game for you. If you are good at slow time and you've got Hand of God, you can't be stopped in the first few cycles. You literally can't, because you can slow the clock down so much that they can't get you. They really can't. Hand of God is a massively overpowered arrow. It's also really good for scoring. Reason being is it slows everything down without damaging them, which is exactly what you want for scoring. Everything slow, and you can kill it even better. And then, yeah, using slow time within Hand of God, that's the tactic. That's what you're after. Right then. Oh, we didn't... Silly me. Let's go and appreciate a little bit of fang banging, shall we? Gotta have a look, haven't I? If someone says, like, oh, just put a couple of your tactics into play. Hey, look, there he is, look! Top 10! Top 10. Good man, well done. So, and that's watched the stream, can play the game well, but has watched the stream, taken a couple of pointers, and look at that, top 10. If he can do it, maybe I can too. So yeah, but again, the other thing as well is I've done no slow time in this tournament at all, except when the gong goes. When the gong goes, you can use slow time to eke out a last couple of kills, as it happens, but we haven't really got there yet. That's a bad start already, because we missed that first teleport arrow, but let's see if we get a decent arrow quick and try and get out of here fast. Wildfire, that is not the arrow we are looking for. Alerted that archer. Let's get up here. Ooh, Cupid's Wrath. Blood of the Lamb, that ain't going to help us. Now, yeah, the only problem with Cupid's Wrath is it's not the single variant. It's not destructive enough to take out normal enemies. Good for Cupids, but you have to spend multiple shots to take out anything else. And so that's not very good. Oh, once upon a time, it would have been a great arrow. Once upon a time, it would have been a great arrow. The Menace knows. The Menace knows all about how good an arrow that used to be. Alright, that's no good. That scored us 0 points, that teleport arrow. Again, note as well how I'm making use of the time that I have whilst my teleport arrow is in flight to shoot arrows that are gonna... Oh, thank you, Cynthia. That are gonna do the damage. Let's... That's... Thank you, Cynthia. Good check. Yeah, no, you're not wrong, but it is, again, that in itself, taking your thumb off of the button is a skill to develop, because there's times when you definitely do not want to use slow time, and it's tournament time. Just concentrate. So what I can tell you to keep keep your thumb off of the slow time button, you should have your button. You should have your thumb. Why do I keep on calling your thumb a button? It's not a button, it's a thumb. Constantly have your thumb pushing forward on the joystick. Yes. Thumb forward on the left stick. That way you are constantly moving or doing something with the thumb on the stick will keep you moving. I know, it is, the thing is, if you train yourself once you've trained yourself to use it, can then train yourself not to use it, you'll get better at both, guaranteed. Like, for instance, when I first started this game, I started with the bow. I was very good at the bow, and then got better and better and better. Changed to the crossbow, was absolutely garbage with the crossbow to begin with. Changed it to my left hand, got a little bit better. Then got particularly good with the crossbow, probably better than I was with the bow. And then to my horror, when I changed back to the bow, I was dog shit on the bow all of a sudden. So I then had to train up there. And then when I went from the bow back to the crossbow, I was dog shit on the crossbow. And you have to keep making that switch a few times. And it got to the point where it was like, I'd be rubbish on the crossbow for several weeks after playing on the bow, and vice versa. Then it went down to about a week. Then it went down to a few days. Now it's down to, minutes. I can play one and then jump straight to the other. I'm telling you this not in any ways or means to show off, but to kind of normalize it. That is normal, or at least it was for me. If anybody can switch between... It's part of the reason why I hold the crossbow in my left hand, to try and make some sort of normalization between the two. Even though they play very differently, I like left hand stick controlling joystick. One of the other things that I will add as well with all of this, I know neuron memory actually, but yes, muscle memory. Oh, I can't. Monk Hunter was like, it's not actually muscle memory, it's neuron memory. And he is probably correct, but everyone calls it muscle memory. So yes, Kieran, muscle memory. One of the other things is I think we have the ability. Yeah, we've got a left-handed and a right-handed, but I don't think we have the ability to... Oh, no, we do. We've got the ability to swap locomotion and rotation. I saw that Pedro... Oh, yeah. Pedro in the Facebook group was basically saying that, like, for instance, he was unable to play swordsman because he's a lefty and he likes having the movement stick on the right-hand side and the snap turn on the left. On the Quest 3, and if someone can check on the Quest 2 and confirm, because it should be the same, you've got the ability to swap the sticks round on your controllers in the settings. So if you are a lefty, you can start every game in left-handed mode, and that's very important because for those games that haven't put a left-handed mode in, or a way to swap the sticks, you know, you people are now catered for directly by meta. So right, let me just sort my headset out a little bit, make sure the old battery is good. Oh, we almost missed the yeah, no worries, Sog. Again, so if you are playing and you're not getting the scores that you are after, providing you can play through and survive and do so without having to use slow time, if you can do all of that, then your next step is to do what I'm doing here. I know this isn't particularly amazing or, you know, that riveting level of entertainment, me starting and stopping and starting and stopping. It's why I don't really like streaming, and is why I've like front loaded the stream with all the tips, and we're now at question time. But this is the way. This is the way I rest my arm. This is the way that I make sure that I can play many, many games. This is the way that I score big. And if I can do it, you know, I'd like to think that any of you, or most of you here, would be happy with 100k. And if you copy what I'm doing, you should be able to get half the score that I'm getting. Like, I'm not moving particularly fast here. I haven't actually covered something that is very important that Mr. Vegas brought up, which is route. Now, I have also got one huge, and a lot of us that are going to finish in the sort of like, I don't know, top 10 or what have you. We do have one huge advantage over you new starters, is we already know routes. And I already know routes, like I'm following one now, and this is what I think is the most efficient route for me. But the thing is, different rule sets on different tournaments change these rules. At the moment, what I'm looking for here is a way to kill as many enemies, these ones, as possible, for the chance of spawning decent arrows. And then at that point, the route kind of goes out of the window. Getting lost is definitely a thing. Again though, that's an experience thing as much as anything else as well. I get turned around occasionally. Again, it's that whole familiarity breeds contempt, so to speak. I barely play Desolation. I still get turned around in Desolation from time to time. Especially when you come up from underground. And that's because I barely play Desolation, because there's no real point. I've got all the achievements out of Desolation. It's a harder level, and you don't score as much. Why the hell would I go there? This is a bad route. I'm not going to make the game hard for myself. All the familiarity that I got with Desolation was from the various tournaments. So yeah. Oh, this isn't looking good because no arrows, no special arrows. But yeah, as I say, route is quite an important one. Yeah, I mean, I know I don't. That's rubbish. We didn't even get anything from any of the kills. I mean, the thing is, we haven't done, I wouldn't say we've done extensive testing in one of my little testing streams, but we did do some testing and kind of got an average score for me on Purgatory and an average score for me on Desolation, and there wasn't much in it. And the reason why I don't think there's much in it, I don't think Super Bright were lying when they said there's like 10% more points available in Desolation. I think the reason why he's not wrong, Melissa. Induction time for you. I mean, when I first started, I was playing like anywhere from like 4 to 6 hours a day as well. I couldn't get off the bloody thing. So, oh, hello, Mr. Fish. Top bit of advice. We've just covered this, actually. So what you want to do is take your right controller, that's your right controller, place it on the floor, and then go back into the game. Back into the game. There you go. And then just play like that. Don't ask us how it works. It just works. All right? Right controller on the floor. Play. Cheers, Mike. See you later, mate. You can go now. LG's just had the same advice. It's revolutionised his score, mate. Revolutionised it. You'll love it. Michael tell you the same thing as I'll tell you. Scoring at where me and him are at the moment is all about the luck, unfortunately. No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. Shut up, Athom. All right, you one of mine, not one of Mike's. Get out of here. All right, curse we might be able to work with. Yeah, I think part of the problem... Yeah, no worries, Melissa. We'll probably still be here. We'll probably still be here. So, yeah. Again, quite a bit of a luck game, unfortunately. Don't get me wrong, I know I've put the comment up about, you know, in before, you know, people start saying, this is boring, we need to do it with... Oh, fucker. Need to do it with vanilla arrows. And I do get that, because I kind of, you know, the fact that it's... If you play this way and you're constantly doing the restarting, it can, A, get a bit monotonous. Yeah, luck of... Well, it's both, isn't it? It's the luck of the arrow and luck of getting the fuel for the fire to keep it going. So, I mean... See, this is the problem with Curse, is Curse isn't bad, but by itself, it's not doing enough. It needs to be taking out more than just a couple of Cupids. And it's not doing much more than that at the moment. You know, the fact that it's automated... Oh, come on! The fact that it's automated kills is good, but it's not enough by itself. Nowhere near enough. So then we have to take a stop in the shop, and a Cupid's Wrath is not going to cut it. Ooh. But as I say, this is just how the cookie crumbles. I think after I showed it off... Well, probably quite a few streams ago. In fact, Mike was probably doing this the same as I was when we were playing Runner. So, yeah. That's another advantage that we have. Runner. Good old Runner. What great sigil. I think we had to lose that for fucking Mortal. I don't mind Mortal. Ditch Purist. Purist, you can force that upon yourself and not use special arrows and not use slow time. You can't change the game into a one-hit kill mode, which is one reason to keep Mortal. Not much of a reason, but it's a reason. That said, don't get me wrong, I've got time. I like Paradise. Maybe. I mean... Oh, got you. Oh, yeah, I'll talk about Desolation in a moment. Yeah, vanilla would make it a little bit more of a playing field, but then you come down, even if you make it vanilla, you then come down to other factors. It then comes down... Ricochet and Cataclysm. Brilliant. Look at this. How good is Ricochet? Look at that. Bam. Bam. Bounce right off him. Boing. Boing. What a great arrow. Ricochet Divine Sight when? Huh? What great arrow Ricochet is. Brilliant. Anyway. That's why you don't use Ricochet anything. No, Ricochet Needles isn't too bad. Yeah, vanilla arrows for speed stuff. I think vanilla arrows is really good. But yeah. So, and as far as Desolation is concerned, the reason why I don't think it scores, it's got the potential to score better than Purgatory, but I think the reason why it doesn't is because bats and bat headshots, basically, or at least that's my excuse. I can't hit bat headshots at the best of times, and it is nigh on impossible to get distant bat headshots. And you kind of can with Tempests, but that's then using resources that you may not get. That was terrible. Get you out of the way. So you can see this one is quite Cupid populated as opposed to normal standard, come on die, standard enemies, which is not great for us, especially if we haven't got any special arrows, which we don't at the moment. Like, that's usually a Cupid there, but now it's an archer. And as I said, this one's going to be a little bit more front heavy on archers. yeah, that's the way. But then this is the other problem as well, as Fangbanger will tell you, to get that score is not practical in terms of distance, as in, you know, getting far into the game and getting a huge score. And the reason being is because it takes several hours to do a cycle the way that Tim's talking about, which is fine, but, you know, me and Mike never played that way. And, you know, if we want to score into the sort of like 20, 30, 40 million, it would take us probably a good 80, 100 hours plus not doing it that way. So you could probably double that amount of time into the game. And, yeah. But again, it is still very good practice. If you can't get too far... Oh, yeah. Mate, it would take hours and hours for me in the lower cycles. It would take even longer in the higher cycles. Oh, well, that's a failure. Thing is, though, it is good because you can build up a very good technique as far as accuracy is concerned, and then you can add speed to that as well. So ultimately, if you are milking points and spending hours on those earlier cycles, it's probably because you are probably about 150k maybe, Alan. Nowhere near as much. I reckon I can... Yeah, I reckon I won't say the score because Mike's here. Keep it competitive, shan't we, Michael? No. Nothing hurries Incubi up. I can tell you things that slow an Incubi down. Yeah, I know, right? I can tell you things that would slow an Incubi down from teleporting to a quiet corner. Streaming. If you are streaming, Incubi take fucking ages. Yeah, there's... Basically, the only thing... Yeah. Yes. It will be coincidence. The only thing that you can do is look at the place that you want them to teleport to and wait. That is literally all that you can do. Sometimes it takes seconds, sometimes it takes minutes, sometimes it can take all day. The reason being is because I think they try to do their teleport and then either cancel it or like it bugs out and they don't teleport. So yeah, the only thing that you can do, unfortunately, is wait. And I tried that in streams, and sometimes it works, most of the time it doesn't, and I end up getting into sticky situations because you don't wait. But you should just literally wait until they come. Wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. And yeah, at cycle 20, you could double that 9 hours, I think, easily. Probably more so. So the thing is, playing slow and milking every cycle for points is a good way to get high on the leaderboard. I've been there. Michael's been there. LG has been there. In fact, LG is probably the best example of a player that does that milks every single fucking point out of every single cycle. But you ask him, and it probably takes him hundreds of hours to do a run. And nobody's got hundreds of hours to do a run, especially when you've done it many, many, many times before. So you then try, like, it's one of the reasons... obligatory mention of Barrage of Needles. It's one of the reasons why I used to love Barrage of Needles is you could get huge scores and do it quite quickly, but it was high risk, high reward, my style of play. But not only was it high risk, high reward, it was also very, 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 very resource intensive. I would imagine with scores like that, he'll have to be. He'll have to be playing at least 10 to 12. Come on, give me a decent arrow, you pricks. Yeah, part of the problem now with like playing just with vanilla arrows is I wouldn't be able to milk the cycles enough, and we would end up getting further, which then means the enemies... Ooh, that's too late! It's too late! It's too late. I can show you another little trick now that we've got it. With Divine Sight, if you fire it close, but past the enemy's head and try and hit them with the outside... What is this? What is this now? You can get the headshot and fire multiple arrows past. I don't know if we've got enough time here. I think those have been a bit tardy. Let's try not to waste them. But Mike's twitching right now. He knows, man. He knows. Need that quiver. Ooh, 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 ooh. We'll make time for that. Oh, I thought it was a ×3 then. That would have been lovely. Right, so let's be clever. Oh, get up. Stop it. You wasted my time. Clever with our arrows. Try and use these to get a load of work done in these fairly tight areas. And then we'll switch back to Divine Sight in a minute. Fuck off, pricks. Now we can get up there. Come on! Stop it! Incursion? Nobody asked for incursion. No, I haven't got it faster. I haven't got it soon enough. And we're going to have to take a shop detour as well. You say, oh, holy armor. Yeah, cheers. Oh, 2 quivers, though. Come on, quick, quick, quick. Oh, you say that, Michael, but look at that score, mate. Look at that score. Alright, let's get my running boots on and go, 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 go. So, as long as we come across... Little teleport grab. As long as we come across some quivers as we're fighting through these next 2 cycles, we might be alright. If we don't have to visit the shop, we could be very alright. If we get the right configurations, we could be extremely alright. Ooh, okay, okay. I'll take it. And 1, 2. It's much easier to do this with the crossbow, with the bow. Ooh. Oh my god! Oh no! Oh well, that's not too bad. We've already got another quiver. Oh, hello. Okay, that's replacing that. Okay, we're looking like we might have a score on here. Cheers. But yeah, I think... Oh, why did that not go? I think we might be a bit late here. Oh, come on, change arrow, you prick! What's it doing? That arrow. There we go. That'll do us. So, remember what I was saying about living off the land? If we hadn't had to have stopped, at that first shop, this could have been a great run. Now we've got, technically, all the arrows that we need. All we need to do now is get the quivers and be fast. But then this is the other thing as well, as both me and I'm sure Michael will agree, is even when you got the right arrows, still not a given. No way. No way is it a given. Because things can still go fantastically wrong with things like what you saw there with my little reload pissing about. That did not help us. Alright, we've got to have a search for a quiver or 3. Just a quick one though. There's one. Divine Sight times 3. We're taking that. 3 minutes left. Okay, that's good. Let's get that one. Again, it's probably spending... Oh, no, 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 no. Open, you prick! We'll have that one. That'll do. Right, I got all the arrows that I need to absolutely slay the next cycle, and we've probably got enough time to get through another. So, big scoring coming, Mr. Fish, I think. Because you say that's not quick enough, but you know you're wrong now. I know, right? Ah, no! Come on. Look at this. No! I hate that shot. Just wasted a load of time. Alright, get up there. Couple of those. Bam, 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 bam. I'm taking that, just in case. Oh, shit, that was the wrong one. Taking... Did that? It did. Just picked that up by accident and it's replaced something. Shit. Trying to make my divine sights go as far as possible. Yeah. Building's a prick. Where'd he go? Okay, I ain't got time to check. Don't think we got enough arrows here. Maybe. One of you fine gentlemen could give me a quiver, that'd be great. Oh, what you doing? Stop it! What we like for time. 1 minute left. Right, so that was a bad idea for me to check, but we're running out of arrows, so I need to know whether I continue on, try and hit the next cycle, and I'm going to go next cycle after a shop visit, because there's going to be loads of quivers in here, and there's no quivers. Yes. 1 minute left. I mean, we'll get it, but it won't be by much. I wouldn't have thought. Need a quiver. Basically, I'll get in. So, see all these teleport arrows that are going wrong as well? That's a factor. That is definitely a factor. So, Paradise Lost 4. That makes our Cupid's Wrath, which is going to be our mainstay of doing work, not so great. Anything for me? No. That's our lot. Gonna need some So now we're on to vanilla arrows, which is shit. We want to try and get into a nicely populated area because the timer is going to be going anytime soon. And slow time, slow time, slow time. And headshot for you, and headshot for you.
Oh, I missed those last ones.
Did he do it, though? Did he do it? Could he possibly? Could I take a score that's like Mr. Fish's? Go live. Give advice whilst playing the game. And still beat him? Could I do it? Is it possible? Well, what do you know? It is. On to you, Mr. Fish. It's only 16,000. You can find 16,000 down the back of the fucking sofa, mate. Easy. So, now, there is a level of skill to that. However, there is also the factor of that's similar. That's the kind of RNG that you want. But can you imagine if I'd done all of that and hadn't had to visit the shop once? We probably could have put another 15k on that. I'd spent lots of time in the shop. And if I'd hit my teleport arrows each and every time... if I'd have hit my teleport arrows, like, you know, that building that both me and Fish hate... probably wasted about 10 seconds on that as well, and all these seconds add up because they are time that you are not killing. Like, I probably could have finished that cycle and started the next with the time wasted. So, thank you. Right, we've done plenty on the crossbow. Should we have a look at the bow now? Quick look at the bow, Mike. What do you reckon? Yeah, no. Now that the RNG's with us. So, I mean, the one thing that I will say is it shows that the technique that I'm trying to impart everyone and trying to make a point of following does work. Wait until those first 2 to 3, well, I'd say 2 drops spawn. And if you don't get the good stuff, restart. Because, as you can see, and Mike was... Oh, crap. Mike was quite right there. I was not moving that fast. Yet I am now #1 in the world. Thank you, RNG. So it's about playing as many games as you can and hoping for the good stuff. And that's why I kind of wish it was vanilla arrows only. But a little bit. A lot of RNG. Mate, I can go... Mate, you could take the advice that I've given you about putting the right controller on the floor. And even you, who've never played Pico before, could win the tournament. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, really, but obviously the game isn't quite as popular on the Pico. So if anyone wants to be the big I am, big fish, small pond, Pico is the way. So I've actually started getting games again on Pico as well. The prizes as well. There's a prize pool on Pico. I think top spot on crossbow or bow gets 3 games of their choice. Now I kind of get 3 games already on the Pico. So although I do expect to be first place on both bow and crossbow, I'll be giving my games away because I don't need free games and I can't change them over for anything else, and I also can't get them as keys before you ask Weeble. If he's still here. Otherwise I would, I genuinely would, if I could get them. You know, the thing is, like, I know exactly who'll be getting my first prize places, and it'll be Knights Who Say Me, Me, Me. Ooh. Is it? Ah, what? Are you sure? I didn't think it was. I know things are not so rosy at Pico in the moment from what I see and what I hear, but I didn't think it was cancelled. Shit. Yeah. Well, if you're talking about IDU tournament, yes, but also Pico do have that kind of offer on as well. So again, though, it's as I've said previously, Pico is great if it is if you are looking at a new VR headset. But the only problem that I foresee for anybody with Pico is a lot of you that are watching me now are already going to be very heavily invested in the Quest infrastructure, and so you've got that massive library of games that you will be losing access to. But then you could say, if as long as you keep your Quest, because I move between both because I get games on one that I haven't got on the other. I've been given Arizona Sunshine 2. I've been given Swarm 2, which isn't out on the Quest for another 3 months for some reason, although it seems to be a like a kind of a shit version of Swarm 2 on the Swarm 2 on the Look, right, you heard it here first. The top of the leaderboard guy for the crossbow and the bow comes to this stream to get his tips. Comes to this stream to find out how to do better. I have been Silver Tongue Devil. Oh dear, no, he knows it all as well as I do, unfortunately. Record as a live run, Mike. I want to see that top score and how you're doing it. To be fair, I don't need to see that. It'd just be the same as me, but with probably better RNG. Right. Yeah, I didn't think Pico 5 was that bad. And yeah, there's another problem as well that Pico could potentially be facing in that apparently Tencent are trying to get Meta into China. So what I was saying about the that'll be taken away soon though. The whole cross-buy, apparently that won't be around forever. That won't be around for too much longer. I think Mac in VR was on about that not so long ago, or maybe Shuey, one of the two. But yeah, apparently the Rift store is going to be going away at some time in the future. Right, what's our battery like? 75%, that's all good. What's the battery like? Good. Plenty of time. Right. Yeah, the other thing that I'd say with the Pico, though, is as we are well aware, lots of people that are heavily invested in the Quest infrastructure, myself included, have loads and loads of games that they never fucking play. So going onto the Pico and being selective about the games that you get isn't as expensive as a thing as you would think. The other thing with Pico having to basically play the last out of the gates underdog, they have to be extremely aggressive in their marketing. I don't think any game that I have ever considered has not been on sale. So all the good games have very aggressive sales on. You think the sales on Quest are good? The ones on Pico are like 50, 60, 70% regularly. So you can quite easily... Oh, what's that? What's this? What is it? Tell me, I must know. Bastard! Oh my god! Oh dear! Right, okay. This is about as good as it's probably going to get. Now we just need the quivers. Take down all of that. Make sure we're not missing out on any quivers down there. That was a waste. Brilliant. Need quivers. Need quivers. Come on now. Tempest. We take those. Put that on there. So what I'm going to make a point of doing is using Tempests now when there's no Banshees about. Oh, got lucky there. Oh, Michael. Could be losing 2 scores tonight, mate. No, it's a good point, Al. It's a good point. Well made, mate. I often forget about that myself, actually. But again, I'm used to not getting games. It is one of the things that Quest do extremely well. is giving money off of games straight out of the gate. Ah, if only that was what I thought it was. I was kind of hoping that was Divine Sight. Note as well, this one's for Melissa when she gets back. Tempests go through walls as well, don't you, Nah? We are going to need a quiver. I'm going to bank on the fact that we're going to get one. Fire a few of those into there. Let that do a bit of work. Go grab the quiver that's waiting for us. There's one. Oh, and there's another one on the way out as well. So again, this keeps the run going, or a potentially good run going. We can go a bit ham on quivers, a bit ham on these rather, because we know we've got more. Now technically, as you might be able to see, I think I can score better with a similar sort of quiver on the bow. And the reason being is I can kind of tether the amount of draw that I get. Where have they gone? There they are. Nope. No. Seeing if we can get a quiver or another arrow out of some of these for free. Yeah, no, you're quite right. That's... I mean... Oh, Apple Pro isn't exactly doing very well. But yeah, if the next Pico is going to be some kind of... you know, some kind of... Oh, we'll take both of those, actually. Come on, time, let's go. We need that as well. Again, look at all of this time that I'm wasting in the shop, but we could potentially be setting ourselves up with the arrows for success. However, if we didn't have to do this, our time would be better. Come on, go. And in. Alright, cycle 1 complete, decent score. Keep this going, might be on. Come on, land! And make use of these in the tight confines that Divine Sight won't do very well in. Saves me a bit of time. Instead of being accurate, lay the carpet out. It's lots of kills, but it's not a massive amount of points. Right, onto Divine Sights. That's rubbish. Hand off that slow time button, you idiot! Ow. Getting anywhere near as much crunch I feel with these. This is the big room. That's a bit better. Note as well how I'm above them and getting more headshots. That seems to be a factor with Divine Sight as well. And remember, every time we're getting headshots, we're scoring in addition to all of that. Now, those are shots that you should try. We need another quiver here. Got one. Not much else though. Come on. Faster. I need this. Michael doesn't need me to need this though. I'll bet. Right, this isn't a great configuration. Let's see if we can take a few out there. Sod that. Come on, up. We want to be to the top, because that's what will spawn all the cupids. That's exactly what we want to see, and exactly what Mr. Fish does not want me to see. Ow. Thank you. And we use the rest of those. Grab the quiver and crack on. One more down there. Another one down there. Volley is not going to help us. So, hopefully... Oh dear, that was terrible. Hopefully, you guys are seeing the benefit of... Oh, that's worth a shot. Go on, get them all. Lovely. I have this. And a little teleport grab to grab the health. Yum yum, and we're in. Oh, I didn't look at the time. But we're not going to now. I've missed our opportunity. Oh, same config again. Not great. Get up. Now we need a quiver. And we can get these extra headshots. That's all good. Where's this quiver? Ah, have I got anything left? Not really. Oh, a couple of Tempests. That might help. Shit. Go. Quiver, otherwise we're out. And run over. Fuck. I suppose this is the other thing as well, is if you get your luck in the actual run, happy days, you don't have to visit the shop, but you also know where you're at sooner rather than later. I mean, we'll still try, but without another quiver on the old divine sight, there's no way I can take these huge numbers of cupids out. Gotta now worry about not dying as well, because I'm not killing things as fast. Even if we did come across a... Come on. It's a very real chance as well, because I'm not able to deal, as I said, with the numbers that are coming my way, and I'm not using slow time. This is quite suicidal. Ow. But again, we can't slow down. Already wasted enough of my arm trying to get this decent score. 1, 2, 3 extra kills there for nothing. But I can't see anything else. I don't think that's going to cut it. I don't even think that's going to be as good as my last score. No. Oh, just shy. So, that's probably the first time that I've got on the bow a decent enough RNG to be able to challenge Mike. But then you can see the difference between a good run and a great run. A good run, you get those quivers. You don't have to visit the shop. You get multiple instances of the good arrows. And you can just keep on and keep on and keep on. And, yeah. Oh. But the moment that you run out, everything just slows down. And then you get a real risk of dying as well, because you are in the midst of a lot of tough enemies. Yeah, no worries, Weeps. What time are we on? Oh, 2 minutes to. You know what? I think I'll do the same. So, there we go. So we've had a little bit of success tonight on the old Paradise Lost. We've crept up just a little bit, put a bit of pressure on Mr. Fishnets, and couldn't possibly score anything more than 204,000 points on the bow. But it shall not be on this stream, unfortunately, as on this bombshell, we shall end it there. This has been In Death Unchained on the Quest 3. We have been playing through the Paradise Lost Trials. I have been Silver Tongue Devil. Good night.